Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Stephanie Phillips for another episode of Veterans in Politics. Today is our second show for the night. Today we have Peter Palivos. He's going to be discussing sex trafficking within the Clark County school system. And he's also going to be talking about one of his foundations, right?
Yep.
Yeah. We'll let Peter address all that. But before we get to Mr. Palivos, Ms. Phillips.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And we want to thank our sponsors. We have Semper Fi Heating and Cooling. I know it's getting hot out there, so get in touch with them. Their website is callsemperfi.com, callsemperfi.com. Also, we have Henderson City Mayor, Michelle Romero. She is running for re-election, and her website is votemichelleromero.com, votemichelleromero.com. Jump on her website. And also, we have a merch store at VIPImerch.com, VIPImerch.com. We have all kinds of fun stuff there for you to take a look at. Also, grab your copy of Steve's book, How to Navigate Nevada's Family Court System. You can get a copy on Amazon for $14.99. And if you are a litigant going through family court without an attorney and can't afford one, this book will help you. So grab your copy and he will autograph it for you for free. Also, we are planning our Valentine's Ball, and that is coming up February 7th of 2026. I know that's a little ways away, but we're getting ready to put some early bird tickets on sale this summer. So look out for those and they'll be on sale. And I just had my rant today is we have some super fans that are kind of obsessed with our podcast. Skippy and the Peanut Gallery. They know who they are. Skippy knows who he is. But anyway, this last go around was about your video that you did about Clark County Chairman Jesse Law. And that video was picked apart, even down to the car that you were sitting on. They thought was a Crown Vic, which actually the car, guys, was an Infiniti Q70L version, to be exact. So check those out, and then you'll know what kind of car he was sitting on. Also, it was noted you had this shirt on, right? He had one of our Veterans in Politics shirt on, and you pointed down here that this was a gun. Well, actually, Mark, you can zoom in on this when you do the YouTube. They're dog tags, guys. And I believe you're a veteran, Army veteran, wasn't Skippy?
I think
Skippy was in the, Navy? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, they're dog tags. It's not a gun on that shirt. And also it was reported that you think that Jill Douglas hired our consulting company. That's false. That's a lie. And what was stunning is that you guys didn't know that Jesse was arrested last year? Come on, you guys. That is absolutely Oh, no. Are we still live? Are we still on? We just don't see it up there? Wait, it's the other way, isn't it? You got to flip it? Yeah, that way. There you go.
Oh my God, I'm never going to forget that iPad again.
You know what? If we're, I'll just keep talking if we're still, are we still live? Okay, sorry guys about that. The phone fell. We forgot the iPad, so we're having to use the phone. So that's why it's kind of like, farther away. But anyway, so Mark is just fixing us up over there so we don't.
Don't put it on the lens, Mark.
So we don't fall again. Well, that's what happens when you're live. This, this is what happens. But anyway, so Skippy, yes, right here. If you Google it, you will find all kinds of articles. You might even find his mugshot. He was arrested, and the charge was a domestic violence charge. The DA decided not to prosecute that, but also the state brought some stalking charges against Jesse. And I can't believe you guys don't know about that because you don't know he's on probation. Steve and I went to 3 hearings down there for his case, this stalking case. And he made a deal the day of the trial. He made a deal with the DA. And if he stays out of trouble for 6 months through his 6-month probation period, that he would plead guilty to disorderly misconduct,
Yeah.
right? All right here, guys. So, oh, it's fallen again, Mark. Oh, no. Maybe we should start over.
Oh my God, Peter, this is not a normal routine for us, by the way.
No worries.
Oh my God. Oh shit. Give me that.
Are we still on?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still alive.
So I still want to talk to Skippy. I'm not done yet. So is it good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
All right.
Give me the other thing.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's fine.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So we can see ourselves.
You need to give it some support from under, Steve.
Yeah. Let me see the tape.
Yeah. One more piece there. So anyway, Skippy's going to have fun with this one.
Yeah. The tape.
So anyway, our Clark County chairman, unfortunately, has not only been arrested for DV, he's on probation for 6 months. He also was indicted in the fake elector case. But the other thing you guys say is that, excuse me, we shouldn't be talking about campaigns because we lost campaigns. Well, Skippy, you've lost 5 campaigns. Count them, 5. So don't forget that. And then the other thing, you got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the last thing that I just want to bring up is that Skippy's cohort on their show called me a stupid bitch. And I just wonder, does your mom know how you talk to women and about women? Does your significant other, do you talk to her like that? Do you call her names like that? And what about your son? I believe you have a son. Do you talk like that in front of your son? Have you taught him? He's a grown man now. So does he talk like that? Because kids will mimic their parents. And for you guys to talk so vulgar and vile on your show about women. And I was called all kinds of names during my campaign. I was called everything in the book. So I have tough skin and that's fine. You can say what you want, but your kids are watching you on this. And I have never, not one time, been mean to you, Skippy Jr. You know who I'm talking about. I've always been polite to you. I see you at political functions. I have hugged you many times and greeted you, never called you a name, never said anything bad about you. And there you mouth off on that, which I thought was disgusting. So anyway.
I put a call into him too.
I know you did. Yep, I know. So call him back, Skippy Jr.
Call me back. Let's have a conversation.
Okay, I think I'm done.
So, are you done, Ms.
I think
Phillips?
so. I'm sorry. Now that
I
we've
feel like this is
fallen all over the...
bloopers and blunders. But anyways, Mr. Palivos. Hi, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Steve. Great to be here with you and Stephanie. And
This is the first.
to share
That'll
some of your
never
adventures.
happen. Yeah, that has never happened.
And I really beat the heck out of this microphone, though. Mark, I think we need to get some new stuff. I think I beat
Is
the
it even
microphone.
on?
No, it's on.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Mr. Palivos, could you give us a background? And thank you for being here, by the way. Could you give us a background about yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Steve and Stephanie. And really appreciate what you do for the community. And thank you for your service. You're a great Marine.
Thank you.
And, I love our veterans. So I come from a poor background in Chicago. My first job, age 7, was shoe shining shoes in my father's store, 1131 West Lawrence Avenue in Chicago.
You never forget.
And I'm very proud of that because it's important that we remember who we are in life. And studied, went to school, worked hard in my life. Growing up poor, you have to outperform everybody. You learn very young. You got to work harder than everybody else. So from very young, I had an incredible work ethic. So, which allowed me to excel in school, in sports, in business, and in law. So over the years, as my career advanced, I was able to excel in those different areas.
That's your bio?
That's my bio.
I thought you were going to bring up
skipped
kids and
Married kids.
married kids and all that good
Being a
stuff.
lawyer.
And when you came to Nevada, because you said you were in Chicago, you haven't got here yet.
Yeah, so the biggest decision I made in my life coming out of college, I was a two-time All-American athlete.
See, there we go.
In soccer. And then I also
Soccer?
in soccer. That was a sport we grew up because I grew up in a very ethnic neighborhood, and the kids all in my neighborhood, they all play soccer in those years. And Chicago is a very ethnic city.
Okay.
So grew up playing ball with the Mexican and Brazilians and Italians and Germans. And in those countries, soccer is a dominant sport.
Yeah.
So worked very hard, and I was a very good athlete. So coming out of college, University of Illinois, we were Division A school, Division I school, ranked one of the top 15 teams in the country. So I was a two-time All-American, and then I got accepted to law school, and I had a choice to make whether I go to law school or play soccer. Well, my mentor was my Aunt Connie, who was a school teacher, and I went and saw my Aunt Connie because she was my guide. And I said, Aunt Connie, I got a decision to make. What should I do? And she says, what does your heart say? And I said, my heart says play soccer. I want to go. Because I had been offered a professional contract at that time. And she says, great. Have you ever checked what the average life expectancy is of a professional soccer player? I said, no. She says, it's less than 3 years because it's so competitive. But the average life expectancy of an attorney is 40 years plus. And she says, sweetheart, because you're very smart and you have great people skills and you love people, you're going to thrive as an attorney. Go to law school. So I went to law school, finished 1983, worked for a firm in Chicago for 3 years. They were very good to me. And then after that, I formed my own law firm and really excelled really quickly at 10 attorneys working for me in Chicago. Got involved in real estate from the investment perspective. And then at some point in my life, you reach that point where you say, I've done well, I want to give back. And that's where I started really giving back on 3 fronts, a lot of philanthropy with cancer research, children causes, autism. We have Soccer for Autism here in Nevada that we sponsor, over 1,000 children. And then helping children with sex trafficking, etc. So, and then the final one is veterans, because I come from a family with 5 generations of military background. And on mom's side, they came over in 1890 from the country of Greece. My mother's maiden name was Guntanis. And if you go to Ely, Nevada, 1917, you look at the draft records, there's about 10 Guntanis members there who were drafted in 1917 to serve in World War I. 2 of them were my grandfather's brothers. In other words, my mother's father, his brothers. So we have, starting in World War I, 5 generations of military service in the family. Family members fought in World War I. World War II, my Uncle Peter, my mother's brother, was in Korea. My cousins were in Vietnam. And then my cousin, Demetrius Grimes, who's a war hero, Navy commander, was the 5th generation. And I just got back from Europe where I married him off. I was the best man at his wedding.
Aww.
So Navy Commander Grimes now is married finally. I mean, I'm an honest man at age 50.
Nice.
So
Good job.
That's a little bit of my background.
Good job.
Kids?
Have 4 children, 5 grandchildren, and I'm the most blessed man in the world. I'm very lucky. I have a wonderful wife. I have a wonderful family. And for me, life is very simple. If you love God and love our country and you love your family, good things will happen to you. I think too many people make life difficult. And it's, be an honorable person, work hard, pay your taxes. And the 3 foundational principles of my life is love of God, love of country, and love of family.
Don't you have a daughter in the same profession you do?
Yes, my daughter Anastasia Palivos is really a superstar. Went to DePaul University Law School, excelled. I raised my children with those three principles:
Which is?
love of God, love of country, and
Love of self?
love of family. Yeah, and she excelled. Went to DePaul Law School, excelled, and went into government. And at age 28, she was the youngest commissioner in the country. She was a commissioner at the Illinois Commerce Commission, where she had jurisdiction over nuclear energy, railroads, airports. Chicago is a big city. State of Illinois is a big state.
Wow.
So I was very proud of her. And then at some point, she thought about going in politics because she got recruited by Democrats and Republicans to run for Congress. And I discouraged her because, one of the politics has become too nasty, in my opinion, in our country. We really have lost our way. In my opinion, compromise is a good word. Working across the aisle is a good word. And wanting our president to succeed is a good thing because it's simple. When our president succeeds, our country succeeds. When our governor succeeds, our state succeeds. It's not complicated. So I discouraged her from going into politics and made her a partner with my law firm. And she's doing extremely well. And one of her passions is she's a national advocate for sex trafficking victims / survivors. And we've been very active now. We've helped over 100 victims / survivors
Awesome.
turn away their life.
Yeah.
And Stephanie and you and I were talking about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you can save one child, you'll be doing an incredible thing in God's world.
How do you get in touch with these kids in order to provide services for them or rehabilitation or education funds, or how does that work?
So we work with a national chain of philanthropic organizations, mostly faith-based organizations. And our name's out there with different pastors that we work with at the national level. And they know that our heart is in this. We reach out, we raise awareness. Programs like this help because we raise awareness. A lot of people don't understand that we're in a national crisis.
Yeah.
I really mean that. A lot of people,
Worldwide, really. I mean, it's the millions and millions of kids are trafficked
absolutely.
internationally, everywhere.
Yeah, it's a worldwide crisis,
Mm-hmm.
and especially in our country because of mistake after mistake. So, we have a program of we got to raise awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and programs like this. And thank you for having me on. Raise awareness and let people understand that there is a crisis, and then help tell these children and the parents of these children and the grandparents of these children there is help. We are willing to help them. These are pro bono services. We guide them to different organizations that can help their children, heal their children. And then there is justice for their children where we come in and provide pro bono legal services and help them get justice. And justice is civil. They could sue somebody if they were wrong, or criminally, they could prosecute. Some cases are ripe for civil litigation, and some are for criminal litigation. And we'll talk about that. But I want to just say something about how serious this crisis is. I work with a national organization called CityServe.
Mm-hmm.
They have a national organization. During COVID, they helped feed 17 million families.
Wow.
17 million families. So you understand their reach.
Mm-hmm.
And they were telling me that, and they have a substantial presence on the border for many years, helping families coming up. And they were telling me that in their estimation and in their research, half of the women and children coming up through the border, through the open border, which is the most stupid mistake we ever made in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Through that open border, half of the women and the children have been raped or sexually abused.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have all these folks coming into our country. They've been wrong. And then internally, we have a major crisis. According to the Department of Justice, 10% of all children ages 1 through 18 have been sexually abused. Let me explain what that means. We have in this country 77 million children, ages 1 through 18. 10% of that number is 7,800,000 children. 7,700,000 children in our country, according to the Department of Justice, have been sexually abused. That's a horrific, horrific number of many, many children being wronged. And we all have, and it's not political, this is something that we all can agree on. We have a moral, an ethical, and a legal obligation to help these children.
Yes.
And we're not doing, in my opinion, enough to help them. A lot of these children they're lost. And you know, Stephanie, we talk about producing good citizens, right? And how are you going to produce good citizens when children have been raped by their teacher, by their school driver, by their employer, by their priest? And a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but in my opinion, one of the biggest problems in our country has been the institutional abuse of these children. Because, you know, everybody keeps talking, you're a great country when you have strong institutions. And I agree with you. You know, what makes our country better than the rest of the world, and we are the best country in the world. I've gone to 45 countries. I'm telling you, America is the greatest country in the world. If we ever opened our border, we'd have 3 billion people show up. We
did have it open for a while, and thank God President Trump shut it down.
I'm saying if we ever made a mistake and opened up the border, we would have 3 billion people show up because everybody wants to be in America, because we do have good institutions. But having said that, the institutions are not perfect. And they're letting down these children because these children are being abused by these institutions. And we need to take some action to help these children.
Right. Thank goodness the border, they have that under control. I talked about that a lot during my campaign, was the border, but also trafficking, because a lot of people don't realize how big that problem is. And we were talking before the show, awareness is a huge thing, because people want to bury their heads and they don't want to know that such horrific things go on. And these poor kids, they're innocent, and they're taking them over the border and bringing them here, and I mean, all kinds of, and even here in the school district, I noticed that you work with that too, because there's things that happen with our kids here. And Nevada is at the top of the list for trafficking. So talk about that a little bit with Nevada specifically, how you help in Nevada.
Yeah, so this is a great point. The state of Nevada is the second worst state in the country dealing with sex abuse of children and sex trafficking of children. And the city of Las Vegas is among the top 5 every year, depending on what year you look at. It's up there with Miami, Chicago, San Diego. We're always in the top 5. That's not a good statistic. And we have to do better as a city and as a state. And I've been here now for 25 years. My family's been here for 25 years. And again, on my mom's side, they've been here since 1890. They were miners in Nevada. So I love the state of Nevada, and I care about the state of Nevada because our family has had roots here since 1890. Having said that, we have to do a much better job at the Clark County School District. There are, every week when you open up a newspaper, there's some new child being sexually abused by some teacher, some school driver, and that's not coincidental. That's not coincidental. The Clark County School District, in my opinion, has 99% of the teachers who are doing a great job, and principals, and these are good people educating our children and our grandchildren. But there's 1% bad apples that are not being brought to justice. It's past the trash, and it's cover-up. And I'm calling upon the teachers, the good teachers out there, the principals, expose the 1%. Don't pass the trash. Expose them, because those people need to be weeded out of the school district. Sex predators should not be around children. End of story.
Right.
And in my opinion, Clark County School District is not doing a good job, and we have several instances of children being abused there by teachers and school drivers. And there's things that they can do. I mean, you do a criminal background. I mean, when you go rent an apartment, you're a realtor, you run a criminal background before you rent to somebody or sell to somebody because you want to know what you're dealing with. Why in the heck why don't we require that anybody that works for the Clark County School District has a national background search so we know who the heck they are? And if they have a criminal background, especially something involving abuse of children, we keep them off.
They don't do that already? Any kind of background?
My information is they don't. And a lot of the time, what we've seen in situations is when there's an incident of a family reporting that their son or daughter has been sexually abused, there's an attempt to discredit the victim. We've seen situations where they'll take a teacher, open up an investigation, a baloney investigation, transfer the teacher to another school, then close the file and say, we conduct an investigation, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
They transfer the teacher to another school. This is a true story, by the way. In that second school, the teacher assaults a second child.
Oh my gosh.
The family goes in, talks to the school. They ask them if there's ever a history of prior misconduct by this teacher. They say no. And in a way, they're kind of telling the truth because the first one was covered up. They sealed the file. So the second principal does not know that in the first school, this predator had hurt a child.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the kind of games that are going on. And this, we have to expose this misconduct and ask for open transparency. If a person is accused of sexual abusing a child, leave that file open for 10 years, 15 years, until they leave the school district and conduct an honest investigation. Notify the authorities, conduct an honest investigation, and so that these children are protected. And it's similar, what's happened in the Clark County School District is similar to what's happening, used to happen in the Catholic Church. We had, and again, and I'm not knocking the Catholic Church. They do wonderful things. As a matter of fact,
Hope to be mad at you.
yeah, well, no,
He's from the United States.
especially she's from Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, right?
Chicago,
Yeah.
And I come from Chicago. But look, the Catholic Church, 99% of them do incredible work. Catholic Charities, in my opinion, is one of the best charities in the country. As a matter of fact, I support them every year. They're on my donor list. But having said that, again, you have that 1%, the priests who are pedophiles who've hurt children. According to the Department of Justice, there's over 17,000 children that were raped or abused by priests.
Wow.
That's a lot of
It's
children.
a lot of kids.
That's
Yeah.
worldwide, right?
In the United States.
Just here.
Just in the United States, yeah. In other countries, there's staggering numbers as well. So what the Catholic Church did for years, it was pass the trash. They would take a priest from one church when there was an accusation. They transfer him to another church. They closed the first file. There was, that they investigated baloney. Closed it down and sent him to a second church. He'd hurt a child in the second church. Then they do a baloney investigation, close that down, transfer him to another church.
Until somebody shoots him.
Where are they excommunicated to where they can never be a priest again? They can't, first time, how come they don't just kick them out of the church and they can never be around kids or be a priest and have that opportunity? Same thing with these teachers. If a teacher is found to be abusing a child or, sexually assaulting them or whatever, why would they even be transferred to another school? They should be sitting in jail.
Great question. It's a systemic problem. It's a problem, we're messed up. We've lost our common sense. Any teacher, any priest, any employer that hurts a child should be expelled and then prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, and our motto is sue them, bankrupt them, indict them, put them in prison. End of story. And again, coming from humble beginnings, and Steve, this about me, I'm a very compassionate person, a tremendous empathy. My door's open to everybody because we're imperfect. Everybody deserves a second chance, except predators. There is no second chance for people who are raping and hurting children. We have a case right now where a predator, a very sick, human, and evil person, raped a 5-year-old autistic child.
My God.
How sick do you have to be to rape a 5-year-old nonverbal autistic child? So we're dealing with very sick human beings. And for those people, there's only one solution. Sue them, bankrupt them, put them in prison, and if they want to reform, they can reform in prison. Away from children. We have to, as a community, as people who care about our community, and I applaud both of you because you're very active in the community and you care about the community, we have to raise awareness. The sex trafficking that's happened in our country is horrific.
Mhm.
If you Google, you'll find out that every year 500,000 children disappear. There's 500,000 missing children in our country. Nobody's talking about it. We have to talk about it. Many of these children end up being sex trafficked. The average age for a child being sex trafficked in our country, is 13 years old. It's horrific. 13 years old is an 8th grader.
Mhm.
So they're taking these children, they're kidnapping them, and the internet has a lot to do with that problem. They're converting them into prostitutes at a very early age, and they're destroying the innocence of these children. And my position is enough. We really have to take action. If there's anybody out there who's a victim of sex trafficking by the Clark County School District or any institution, they should call my daughter, Attorney Anastasia Palivos, 702-903-0800. Anastasia is a national advocate. She will give you free advice. We will give you direction. We will help you. We are here to help. And also, this is a shout out to everybody out there, all the grandparents, all the parents listening. Watch your child. We live in really difficult times. When I was a young boy, very poor growing up in Chicago, there was one thing. We could play in our front yard.
Mm-hmm.
We could play in the park. Today, kids can't do that. It's really a tragedy. Even in a nice area like Summerlin or Seven Hills where I live, you've got to be careful because there's so many sick people,
Yeah.
and the internet is doing this. I mean, when you're thinking about 500,000 children missing every year in our country, where are they going?
And that's probably a low number.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
probably low.
Where are they going? Who's abusing them? So everybody has to have their guard up. I encourage parents and grandparents to be fully engaged with their children. Where are their children? Who is their friend? Who are they hanging out with? Who are they talking to on the internet?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had a case where a 16-year-old girl was she thought she was talking to a 16-year-old boy
Mm-hmm.
on the internet. And this guy groomed her and told her, I love the same things you love and the same movies and same music. And one day she made an appointment to meet the 16-year-old boy who she really liked through the internet. Unfortunately, it wasn't a 16-year-old, it was a 70-year-old pervert who kidnapped this girl.
Oh my gosh.
Under the guise of being a 16-year-old. And what happened in that case, he showed up, 16-year-old predator, showed up, said that he had come for Johnny, who could not make it because something came up, but he was going to take her. He was waiting for her in an hour, and then he took this girl, sexually abused her. And this, by the way, Stephanie, happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, 500,000 children.
It
Over
happens right here on the Strip all the time. And I've read about this so much. And I mean, it happens right underneath our noses constantly, every single day. And I was wondering, as far as the school district is concerned, have you sat down with the superintendent and maybe come up with some kind of a seminar or something that you could present to the kids and make them aware more so about these people, pimps and groomers and these pedophiles and these people that will target them? Is there something that you can put into the schools and educate them?
Yeah, I'd love to talk to the superintendent. I'm open to talking to the superintendent, leaders of the union. And, again, the union has resisted some of these changes in the names of protecting their members. Well, I got a message for the union. protect your members, but not pedophiles. There's a line.
Yeah,
You
protect
can-
the kids.
Protect the children.
So, Mr. Palivos, did you form an organization to do this, or are you using your law firm to do this?
We're using our law firm. This is really a priority for us. It's part of us giving back. You reach a point in life where you say, I've done well, and I've done very well. And now you say, I want to give back. And that's why we're so active with the military community, with Voice of the Veteran, where I serve as chairman. We have over 25,000 members. And next year, we're going to do an event at Allegiant Stadium with about 30,000 people, 30,000 veteran and military families.
Yeah, we want to hear about that.
Yeah, so about 5 or 6 years ago, an organization here in our state called Voice of the Veteran, which is a 501c3, helps veterans with disability claims, asked me to come on and be their chairman. And I agreed to do that for $1 a year. And we've grown the organization from a few thousand members to now we have over 25,000 members. We have over 700,000 emails of veterans that we put out in literature. And since I became chairman, we've gotten over $50 million in disability benefits for our veterans, and we've charged $0. A lot of lawyers on these cases charge a third. So on the $50 million, if they had gone to outside law firms, they'd be paying $16 million. We did all that for free. And I want to give a shout out to Dan Kamanao, who handles disability claims for us. Danny's an incredible person, Purple Heart recipient, 3 Purple Hearts. You know Danny, a real war hero from Vietnam, fellow Marine. He's handled over 12,000 disability claims,
Wow.
all for free. So we do that. And then last year, about 2 years ago, I was at a Raiders game with our CEO, Bob Maxwell, and I have 8 Raider tickets on the 50-yard line. And I was telling Bob Maxwell, I said, I'm very blessed. This country's been good to me. I've worked hard, and this country's been good to me. And I said, Maxwell, the only problem I have is these damn tickets are so expensive today, especially, good tickets. The average middle-class family can't go to a football game. And the military folks can't go to a football game. And that bothers me because we have so many heroes who've done so much for our country, and they can't take their children to a football game. So I said, I have an idea, and I always come up with these ideas. I said, I have an idea. I want to get Allegiant Stadium from the Raiders, because I know some of the people at the team, and do an event for 15,000 veterans and military families. Get some entertainment, raise some money, and do it. What do you think, Maxwell? And he looked at me and he said, you have some great ideas, but this is the most stupid idea I've ever heard because we have no money. We do everything for free. You're the guy that funds everything. And to rent this stadium is a very expensive proposition, probably over $1 million. And I said, yeah, you're probably right. Well, I told myself, if I can't get Maxwell on board, then we're done. I got to have my own CEO on board. So we went downstairs, and Bob's a veteran himself and former police officer from Michigan, and he's Irish. So we went downstairs to the VIP club, got him a couple of drinks. 3 beers later, a couple of vodkas later, Maxwell looks at me and says, I've been thinking about it. That's the best idea you've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Let's proceed. So to make a long story short, we went and saw the Raiders, who are just an incredible organization. Met with Sandra Morgan, the president, whose father was also a veteran, Air Force, and spoke to Sandra, and I touched her heart. I said, Sandra, we got to do something to bring our country together. We're divided. We're not talking to each other. We're talking past each other. And nobody brings a country united better than veterans. So I want you to give us the stadium for a year for free for an event. I got City Serves and be co-sponsor with me and Voice of the Veteran, and I need you to give me the stadium for free, and I'll raise millions of dollars that we'll give to the veterans. And she said, Peter, that's a big ask because That's about a $2 million ask.
Wow.
And I said, well, $2 million, why $2 million? She said, well, when we do events for a football game, we need 1,000 people to put on an event. And I didn't know that. And it's also a very expensive stadium. So, and I said to her, I said, Sandra, I know you love our city, and I know you love our state, and I know you love our veterans. I'm asking you to give me this $2 million stadium for one a day, because I submit to you, many of our veterans have lost arms and legs, and many of them paid the ultimate price. They lost their sons and daughters. And I submit to you that's worth more than $2 million. And she said, you know, Peter, you touched my heart. And she's really an incredible human being. And I think an incredible hire by Mark Davis. And she set up for us to meet with Mark Davis. And Mark, who's also a great human being, a great philanthropist, gave us a stadium, up to 15,000 people. And on June 8th, 2024, our organization, Voice of the Veteran, City Serve International, and the Raiders, we sponsored the largest philanthropic event in the history of Nevada at Raider Stadium for 15,000 veterans and military families. We were able to raise $4 million in goods and gifts that we gave to the children. And the highlight was we got a call from Nellis Air Force Base, General Goodman, and he asked us if we could honor three war heroes, one from the National Guard, and 3 from Nellis Air Force Base. These were pilots who flew from Nellis Air Force Base to Kabul, Afghanistan. Remember when we withdrew from Kabul, Afghanistan, when they were shooting airplanes as we were rescuing Marines? Well, those pilots flew from Nellis Air Force Base, and I didn't know that.
Wow.
And he said, Peter, there's a lot of excitement about this event you're doing at Allegiant Stadium on June 8th, 2024. Could we honor 3 of these war heroes at Allegiant Stadium? And I said, General, are you kidding me? This would be a great honor to honor 3 American war heroes, 3 pilots in front of 15,000 people. This is, I'm humbled that you're asking me. And that was the highlight of the event, by the way. The 3 war heroes from Nellis Air Force Base and 1 from the National Guard were honored in front of 15,000 people. We gave $4 million that day, 500,000 in new Nike shoes. And we had Walker Hayes, a country singer, famous country singer who does the Applebee song. He came in and performed for us. And it was a magical day built on patriotism. One thing, and I said from the microphone, we are here today not as red Americans, not as blue Americans. We're here as red, white, and blue Americans. So when everybody up here on the podium, when I introduce them to you, please give them a standing ovation, because they're good Americans. Many of them are war heroes. They're all veterans, and please give them a standing ovation. And I'm telling you, Steve, that stadium was rocking. It was 4 hours of just incredible moments. And the highlight for me was honoring those 4 heroes. And a mother came up to me, Stephanie, with 3 children. And she said to me, I want to thank you very much, because this is the first event where I, as a spouse of a veteran, felt invited, because you invited families.
Wow.
This is the first time. My husband served for 20 years, but this is the first event where wives and children were invited, and we had a great time. And my children, I think she had 3 boys, if I remember correctly. This is the first time they're wearing new Nikes.
Aw.
Because on my husband's salary, we can't afford new Nikes.
It is $100.
$100, yeah.
Are you doing it again this year?
Yes, so we're in negotiations now with the Raiders, and regarding the Raiders, I can say this: they haven't won the Super Bowl here in Las Vegas, but they are the Super Bowl champions of philanthropy.
Mm-hmm.
They're great people. They're very generous, and we're negotiating now Day of Gratitude #2 for Allegiant Stadium, June of next year, June 27th, 2026. And we're going to try to make it bigger and better. We're asking them to give us. The only disadvantage of the event was this: we sold out. We were capped at 15,000 tickets. We could only do 15,000 because the Raiders they needed 250 people to serve the 15,000 guests, and we sold out the tickets a month and a half before the event. I mean, so there is a hunger in our country for patriotism. There really is. People want to bring it together. Only fools think we're divided. We're not divided. Most of the American people are on the same page. We all want the same thing. We love our country. We want our kids raised with dignity. We want the country to go forward. So when we talked to the Raiders about the event next year, we told them that the only drawback was we sold out the tickets a month and a half before, and many veterans and many military families that wanted to attend could not because we hit our cap. So this year we've asked for 30,000, for a capacity of 30,000.
You could probably do 50 or 60,000 easily.
You know what? Just between us, we're negotiating with a big name to come and perform for our American heroes. And if this star, and I can't tell you her name because we're still under negotiations.
It's a she. So
it's a she. Yes.
halfway.
Carrie Underwood.
No comment. No comment.
Celine Dion.
No comment. But if this is an international star, if she comes, those 30,000 tickets will be sold.
Oh yeah,
in a day.
Yeah.
Because many of our veterans and military families, they've never been to Allegiant Stadium.
How much are the tickets?
It's free.
Huh?
Free. And not only that, but we gave away $4 million in goods. So we let everybody know that.
How does that work, by the way?
So that's a funny story. So
do bingo or something?
No. We prepared a large IKEA bag with $600 of merchandise per bag. Different.
Everybody gets a bag.
So everyone gets one.
Everybody gets one, and then we had 500,000 Nike shoes that Nike contributed. So everybody, and we got 5,000 pairs because we had registered 5,000 children for the event. So we had 5,000 tickets. And from the microphone, I said it very simple, that because your mother, father, brother, grandfather, grandmother served our great country, go out there and get whatever you want.
So how you know they're a veteran or friends of a veteran?
Yeah, we need to identify, they had to show us identification. Oh yeah, absolutely.
When they get the tickets?
As part of the vetting process. So we had 600 volunteers that day. I mean, it was a huge enterprise.
Yeah.
600 volunteers.
How many vendors were there?
There were about 60 booths.
Okay.
Providing different services for veteran organizations, disability claims, health benefits, employers, etc. And our goal this time is to do it bigger and better. And hopefully we'll, with the partnership of the Raiders and CityServe, we're going to do that. And it's really exciting. You know, I'm all in because, you know, how many times in life do you have an opportunity to make 30,000 veteran and military families happy?
Not very often.
Right?
So you go online and you get the tickets?
Correct.
But how do you vet?
So there's a process where you register, you prove that you're a veteran, and then the way we had last year, each anchor tenant, each anchor ticket could bring 4 guests. So once we vetted that you verified your credentials, that you're a veteran, then you could have up to 4 guests.
So the vet has to get the ticket.
Correct. So you could bring up to 4 guests. Some brought 1, some brought 2, some brought 4. But funny story. Well, remember I told you about those 3 pilots that we honored, the war heroes? One of them calls me up. He was a young captain. And he said, Mr. Palivos, I want to thank you for this incredible event you're doing. I said, no, it's not me, it's the community. It's the Raiders, it's a lot of us. I'm just the chairman of the event, but it's a whole network that's doing this. He said, you know, I have a favor to ask you. I said, sure. He says, I'm from a small town in Idaho, and the whole town has 80 people. And can I get 80 tickets for this event? And I said, what? and 80 people, he said, yeah, we're going to rent 2 buses to come down to the event. I said, Captain, for serving our country the way you have, it'd be my honor. We're going to make an exception. And sure enough, they had 2 buses come down from this small town in Idaho to honor this American captain.
How did they hear about you?
Well, they knew that I was, leading the charge, and we were coordinating with Nellis Air Force Base. So the people at Nellis Air Force Base connected him to me because they knew we had set that limit of 1 anchor could get up to 4 guests.
Right.
So under the rules, he could bring up to 4 guests. And he asked for an exception. And how do you say no to an American war hero? You can't.
How do you get the boots?
The what, I'm sorry?
The boots. The boots and the...
Oh, the boots. So again, we vetted everybody. We had...
So the boots are free?
Correct. The boots are free. Correct. And as long as there was a legitimate company, I mean, you guys could have the booth. We'd love to have you. As long as it's a legitimate organization, a 501c3 or 4, and their cause is, help veterans. Nobody, by the way, nobody made $1 from that event. Not $1. We're all volunteers. It was all about giving back to our military. And it was magical. And when many of these sponsors, and again, I go to what I said earlier, there's a hunger in America for patriotism. There really is. And I saw it. I was getting calls from people all over the country saying, we heard about this great event you're doing. Can we contribute? Of course you contribute. And it was like, we started out with a goal of raising $500,000. Then we got $1 million. Then we said, heck, let's do $2 million. Then we said $3 million. Finally, by the day of the event, we had $4 million of gifts raised, including that $500,000 of Nike shoes. This time around for the event we're going to do next year, God willing, on June 27, 2026, our goal will be $5 million in goods. So, it's ambitious, but you got to think big. That's my philosophy. You got to think big, and I believe in the generosity of the American people. I really think that the American people are the most generous people in the world, as long as you give them a purpose, and as long as they know it's legit. And what we've done, we've told everybody, look, we're doing this event because we love our country and our military, and nobody's making $1. Nobody. So that's really the motivating factor. When these organizations find out that nobody's making $1, there's no administrative cost, they really open up their wallet. So look forward to having both of you there.
Yeah, I'd love to be there.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. We can have a booth.
You want a booth?
Yeah, we'll give you a booth.
I think Andre had a booth.
Did he really?
Yeah, Armed Forces Chamber.
Yes, he did.
He have a bunch?
Yes,
yeah,
he
I thought
did.
so. Mm-hmm.
And he does great work. Andre Haynes and the Armed Forces.
He's the one that connected us.
Really? I didn't remember that. Okay, it was Andre. He's a great human being and does great work in our state.
So, Mr. Palivos, is there anything else you want to say that we haven't covered? Or?
No, the only one thing I want to emphasize to everybody listening is, sex trafficking, abuse of children is a serious national crisis. Confront this crisis. If your child was abused, put your arms around them. They're victims and survivors. Let's show them a lot of love, show them a lot of compassion, and we're here to help. If they were abused by an institution, the school district, an employer, a church, give us a call at 702-903-0800, and we'll be happy to help you pro bono to get justice. Because ultimately, you got to get justice. What I've learned in doing this for many years and helping so many victims is they need closure, and you get closure by justice. And I'll end with this story. We had a 14-year-old girl in Chicago who was raped by her teacher for 4 years. By a teacher. Now,
4 years that went on. Wow.
In that case, what he did was this animal, this very evil I got to be careful what I say, but I get angry. This very evil son of a bitch. He groomed this girl. He told her what do you like, and she liked certain sports and pianos, and he said I love the same thing. So he groomed her as a teacher. Now this guy was 40 years old. She was 14. Now she thought that was her friend, and ultimately a friendship turned into a sexual relationship that lasted 4 years. This girl, by the way, is very attractive, very successful, was raped for 4 years, because when a 40-year-old teacher is having sex with a 14-year-old girl, it's not consensual, it's rape. Mm-hmm. So you raped her for 4 years. And we went after him, we disgraced him, we indicted him. He's doing 20 years in prison.
You got him for statutory.
We got him for rape. For rape. And in most states now, we changed the laws. In most states now, if you rape a child, if there's an open statute, you could pursue them until they're 70, 80, 90 years old. And also for civil damages, most states have expanded that. For example, in Nevada, if you were hurt as a child, you have until the age of 36. You reach majority. In other words, you become an adult at age 18 in Nevada, and they give you 18 more years to pursue your civil remedy. So if there's anybody out there who was abused by a school, an employer, anywhere, any institution as a child, they have up to age 36 to file a lawsuit, and they should call us. Also, if they were a child in Nevada, sexually abused, there's an open statute. In other words, they can pursue criminal prosecution. But criminal prosecution is a little more difficult because there's a higher standard. You got to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. In civil cases, it's proof more true than not true. It's a lower standard of proof. So what we do in these cases, like we did in that Chicago case, we disgraced this animal on the front page of the Chicago Tribune. We got him indicted. We sued him. And that's how you create a deterrent. You've got to create a deterrent. There has to be a price to pay, And to my friends out there who listen and believe this nonsense of soft on crime, it's pure nonsense. Sex predators only understand one thing: you got to come hard on them. You got to send a message of keep your hands off children, or otherwise we're going to come after you. And I'm sending a message right now: we're going to come after you. We're going to come after you. Keep your hands off children, because we will come after you. We will disgrace you. We will indict you. We will sue you. We will bankrupt you. And I really mean that. And I'm very proud in the past few months, I was able to call certain prosecutors in this state and indict 12 of these monsters. So I'm very proud of that. And by the way, I'm keeping track because I consider that a badge of honor. Being able to indict 12 predators and keep them off the street, I consider that a badge of honor. And
penalties need to be tougher. The legislature needs to change those rules because I don't think they're tough enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I also think, Stephanie, we need to take this national because, every different states have different statute of limitations, different penalties. I think, and I'm working with the White House actually on this issue. Pastor Paula White, who's the president's faith-based leader, is a friend of mine. She's from Orlando, Florida. A magnificent woman, very pious, good human being. And her and I talked in Florida back in February of 2025 about passing some executive orders about the same issue. And I've offered to work for free on that. And hopefully we'll get some national executive orders or legislation because in some states, believe it or not, they're so soft on crime, there's almost like no deterrent. Mm-hmm. And in many states, still the statute of limitations is 18 years old. You have until you're 18 years old to bring a case. Well, here's the problem. A lot of these victims / survivors are so scarred, it takes them many years to overcome those scars. Yeah. The young lady in Chicago, for example, it took her 10 years because before she could even talk about it. 10
Wow.
years.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, as an attorney of over 40 years, I've heard a lot of stuff. You hear these stories, Steve, it just tears you apart. The pain of these children talking about how their teacher violated them or a family member violated them. It's just horrific, and it tears the inside of you. I'm a strong person because I've been through so much in life, but even me sometimes it just breaks me, and I go home just, really depressed, and I need a shot of whiskey just to perk me up.
It's terrible.
Ms. Phillips, you ever anything else, Mr. Palivos?
No, I don't think so. Thanks for coming on.
Really appreciate your time, and thank you.
Mark is going to zoom in on you, and you have the final say. You can say whatever you want, and if you want to give a contact number, you can as well.
Yeah, really thank you for being here. I really enjoyed our discussion, and my goal is only to do good, and if anything we can do for any family that listens to this program to help you, we're here to help you. Like I said, you can call us at 702-903-0800.
I want to thank you for coming on the show, Mr. Palivos. Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Folks, that's Peter Palivos, as he was discussing sex trafficking within the Clark County school system and everywhere. So we want to thank him for coming on the show and giving us this information, and hopefully it might help somebody. And if you have anything that resembles any of this discussion about sex trafficking or molestation or rape or what have you, give Mr. Palivos a call. This is Steve Sanson, Stephanie Phillips for Veterans in Politics. Until next time.